I tell Camille, and she's basically like, sounds like a baby to me. And I'm like, baby? Hi, this is Chastity, the Chastity Monroe channel. So I am back, and for my very first video, I wanted to kind of talk about where I am so far in my choices of healthcare, I guess is the best way to say it. I did an intro video, but at this point, I'm 17 weeks pregnant. And prior to this, like literally, I knew that I was pregnant like super early on. So many things kind of came across my mind in terms of how was I going to figure out what was the best thing for me in terms of what healthcare would look like, given that I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. And so I want to take you through kind of what happened with that and where we are now. So, and if you haven't already, subscribe. There'll be more to come. But that said, let's get straight into it. So yes, as I was saying, I have literally been pregnant all year. I knew pretty immediately that I was pregnant. This funny story is that, so we decided to take a trip to Cancun, to Mexico for New Year's Eve and had a blast. Clearly had a great blast because that's how we ended up 17 weeks pregnant. So literally I have been pregnant. When I say I've been pregnant all year, I have been pregnant all of 2021. Okay. So fast forward, I guess 4 weeks later, like 4 or 5 weeks later, the day of my missed period, I went to this new pizza place here in the city that I had been going to. It's like artisan gourmet pizzas, all up my alley. And I was trying this salad. I had never had the salad from them, had the pizzas. But the salad had like this shrimp in it, and it was like cold shrimp. So the salad was phenomenal, by the way. I remember it was just like so good. And then literally within, I don't know, and I did not eat the pizza, I just had the salad. So within maybe, 3-4 hours, I was like sick, like just sick as it was kind of that sick where, I don't know if you guys had crazy wild nights with hangover, like that type of sick is what I was, like just exhaustingly sick, right? Throwing up, it was just crazy. So I'm pissed off because I'm like, they must have not had this shrimp set at the right temperature. This is crazy. I called them. I was like, I cannot believe this. Like, listen, I know you guys are a new business, but you got to do better. I'm not going to write a review, but get it together. So all this happens, and I'm not even thinking about the fact that it's my, day one of my missed period. I'm like, whatever, it'll come. I've been doing this thing for 35 years at this point. It always comes. So, long story short, I was talking to my aunt, Camille, and Camille, like, I'm telling everybody this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sick. They're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Feel better. I tell Camille, and she's basically like, sounds like a baby to me. And I'm like, baby? So in my mind, I don't know if you've seen that meme where they're like doing the calculations. I'm like, nah, this ain't no baby. This ain't no baby. This ain't no baby, because I have been successful in not having a baby for a very long time, okay? So anyway, long story short, I was like, it's not a baby. She was like, well, just go ahead and get a pregnancy test. And, you know, it's not a big deal. If it's not a baby, it's fine. Like, what do you have to lose? I'm like, yeah, you're right. So my husband's out. I'm like, hey, babe, go get me a pregnancy test while you're out, and then, you know, come back home, whatever. He's like, all right. He's super cool about it, too. I mean, nothing went off in his head either. So the funny thing about that is we both had decided this year we would start trying. And because I'm 35, I really kind of, and I had been on birth control literally since I was 19. So for me, in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to take a while for this to happen. And it wasn't just me being doubtful, it was just me being realistic. I'm a pretty healthy person, but I've seen other people struggle with fertility, and so I was just preparing myself. So literally, I had already bought all these fertility sticks, and was like, my husband and I had even come up with a plan that in February we had started watching these documentaries, right? And so on Just Conceiving. And we were like, in February, March, we'll start having sex every other day, right? And we'll just start trying, And so in my mind, I'm like, it's going to take probably 6 months for this to happen. But we'll be, we'll do what we need to do. So anyway, back to the story. He gets the pregnancy test. He comes back. I take the pregnancy test. Because I'm like, let me just go ahead and take this test. Let my aunt know she don't know what she's talking about, and keep it moving, right? Funny thing also is that I had been trying to lose weight because it was the new year, and sorry guys, allergy alert. So I'll be sniffling probably this whole little bit. But anyway, so I'm like, let me just prove her wrong, and yeah, that's it. So I go take the test, and I almost fall off the toilet because that thing said pregnant. Pregnant, pregnant. And I was like, holy cow, WTF, OMG. Like it was like the room was swirling, right? I felt like I was a teenager. Like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? For real. I'm grown AF, right? And was still like, y'all, what? So at first I'm like, oh, I should, like, all these things are going through my head. I'm like happy, but I'm still like, this is crazy, right? And so I'm like, okay, should I wait to tell Brian? So at that point I was like, you know what? I can't wait. I got to tell him now. So I bought this little, this customized Apple Watch bands, and they were FAMU. I went to Florida A&M University, proud Rattler, strike again. And anyway, so he knew I had been like talking about this Apple Watch band. And so I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the test in the Apple Watch band, and then, or band case, and then I'm going to give it to him. And he's going to be surprised. It's going to be this big deal. And that's going to have to be the best we're going to do, because he needs to know, because I can't hold this. So I do that. He's watching football. Do y'all know this man looked down at this thing and then looked back up at the screen for, I know, a good 5 to 7 minutes. It felt like an eternity. I'm sitting on the bed. He's in the guest bedroom. I'm sitting on the bed like, what in the hell? Like, this is the man who has been so anxious to have a baby, so excited, like been talking baby basically since we've met. And flub, like no reaction. I was just like, so then after 5 to 7 minutes, seeming like an eternity, he's like, is this real? I'm like, fool, yes, this is real. Like, we're pregnant. And he's just like, what? And you could just see, like, I don't know, it just seemed like this whole cloud of worry, and like, he had almost the same reaction of like, what are we gonna do type of thing. So I think after that kind of passed, of course, We were super excited, and realized it wasn't the shrimp. Baby girl we were just pregnant. And again, this was day one, so I knew very early on. And we'll talk about, how I shared the news. I eventually shared the news with our parents.